I want to move into something that I know it's going to be like really tough for you to talk about, but about your late best friend Marlon, unfortunately passed away in 2020 as well, in the lockdown year. There's a really nice photo. I might put it in, I don't know, but it's a really nice photo of you at his grave with his dad with the Midlands belt when you just won it recently. Yeah. Really nice photo. So I was just wondering, like, how much have you used that as motivation to do the best you can in boxing? Like,
I feel like he is the reason that like I'm fighting for now. Yesterday morning we was in the gym and obviously the music's on and there was a song that come on that was played at his funeral. We were working on the bags, but like I kind of forgot about how tired I was, and I was just listening to the lyrics of the song, and it just pushed me through like the round. Just little things like that, but yeah, obviously, like I said, it was hard being in the lockdown, and like that was hard enough as it was, and then obviously with that happening, yeah, it's been tough. It has been tough. I'd be lying if I said it hasn't, but yeah, it's kind of, like I said, pushed my boxing. It's increased my game now because I feel like I've got something to fight for, and like to keep, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, I got his name on my chest, and then like them cameras, however many people, hundreds of thousands of people are watching, they're all gonna see his name. To me, it's like I just want to keep his name going, because especially for Worcester, like, everyone knew him. Like, I don't know if you've seen on I think there's a video on my Instagram. There was a video taken at his funeral, and there must have been about like 700 people there, and that was in the middle of lockdown. And there was like 700 people all following the carriage to the grave. And I just thought, like, yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, I feel like it's pushed me and it's given me something else to go for.
Obviously, you always have your own targets, but I always think it's good to have something to push you on to that extra level.
Obviously, you came from South London, quite a diverse area. Obviously, in your rugby journey, I remember you saying, the further up the ladder you've gone, less diverse it is. Mm. So when you're going through that journey, like, was any bit of it like a bit of a culture shock? Like, because it's very different, like, to home, not as many diverse people. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it definitely was a big culture shock. I mean, I started playing rugby in my school in South London, which was a majority black school, and my team was majority black, and I think everyone on my team was a person of colour. So from going from one end of the spectrum, from playing with people who look like me, who sound like me, who listen to the same music as me, and then I go to Richmond, which is a middle-class white area anyway, and their rugby reflects that, and that's what rugby reflects in general. It was a huge culture shock, and I think it wasn't that I wasn't ready, but I didn't expect it. So it's been a lot of adapting, a lot of learning, a lot of understanding over the years. But yeah, it was definitely a big shock. But from where I was then to where I am now, I think I've learned, like, you just gotta be yourself.
Yeah, just block everything out. Yeah.
I kind of struggled when I was younger with things like kind of pressures from people at school and things like that for being kind of good at sport, I guess.
What do you mean by that? So you felt pressured?
So kind of people
too good, almost. Like...
Yeah, well, it was a weird one. It was just like, I wouldn't say it was bullying. It was kind of just people just taking the mick, kind of, and things like that. Just
really,
yeah. So it was kind of hard being at school sometimes, just being in those kind of sporting environments. But then moving to college and things like that, it got way better, and that kind of disappeared.
Because in my high school, often the cool kids would be like the most sporty ones, or whatever. Like, they do rugby, they do football, all that. So that's interesting. That's the other way around where you're from.
I saw some of that. Your dad was like very like supportive and protective of you and stuff. Onto your mum, I read somewhere when she actually went to the United game and she watched you, and that was her first game back after she wasn't very well. If you don't mind me asking, like, what was her illness? Because I believe she's okay now.
Yeah, she's doing absolutely brilliant now. So basically, long story short, was when I was in year 11 and I got my first England call up in the February. Obviously, mum, dad, and Hannah, sister, they all wanted to come down and stuff to support me, you know, as a family would do when you're representing your country the first time. Then the night before, I mean, my debut versus France, my mum got really, really ill type thing. Dad and Hannah had to rush her to the hospital, and she ended up having to have like an emergency operation where she got a third of her bowel removed and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
So she was really, really ill. I had to obviously fly back with England and stuff, do my GCSEs and stay with friends and stuff. While they had to stay, because she couldn't fly, they had to stay in Spain for about a month, just over a month, while she recovered. And then, it's a bit, like I said, that was February. Then it was a long road to recovery. And then I'm so grateful that she got to come to that United game. That was the first game since the illness, obviously.
So you didn't see her for like weeks then if she was in Spain getting...
I didn't see her since I left took off before. Obviously I took off left to England camp at St. George and stuff. That's the last time I seen her.
Wow.
Until she came back for about a month later, and mum, dad, and then obviously I saw my dad and Hannah at the France game, because my mum really, they didn't want them to miss that, so they came to that England debut and stuff. My dad literally just burst into tears when he saw me after the game. So obviously that was a really, really emotional time for us as a family. But yeah, she's absolutely, I'm so proud of her. She's doing amazing now. Yeah.
Wow, that's good to hear, because when I was younger, my mum was ill and like problems with bowels as well. So it's good to have a healthy mum around, definitely. You've been in the football system for such a long time, even though you're only 20, and you've played really well, obviously. I'm sure you get lots of people giving you your praises, and rightfully so. I've asked a couple of people in this podcast, like, how do they respond to like people like bigging them up? Because some people, well, most of the ones that I've spoken to, they're a bit they feel like a bit awkward whenever like someone's praising them. And is that the same for you? Like when you have people praising you, saying how good you are and stuff, like how do you take that?
I think it's funny you say that, because I think last night actually my friend from school I haven't spoke to in years actually messaged me and just said, like, I can see how, like, we can all see how far you've come and like how hard you've worked to get where you are today. And I think sometimes moments like that like kind of hit, because it's like sometimes I think you're so caught up in the lifestyle every day that you forget like what you've done to get to this point. So I think in a way I kind of get when people say, it's kind of like, it's almost like when people say it's hard to take a compliment, like when people are telling you good things about yourself. But I also think for me, like it's nice to hear it from those sorts of people, because I think it's a massive part of my life. Like, this is what I've worked for. Like, I get it when people are like, oh, it's kind of awkward when people are like complimenting you and things, which I kind of agree to an extent. But I also think it's like, it's what drives you in a way to make other people happy. And like my family, when they say they're proud of me or whatever, like that's what I strive to do, is to make my family proud. So
just out of interest, like what were you studying at Cranley, or was there anything apart from rugby that you were thinking of doing, or was it just always?
Yes, I wanted to study English at uni, so I was doing English, philosophy and history as my A-levels.
Right.
And I went to Queen's Belfast after sort of finishing sixth form, when I went to join Ulster.
Oh, okay.
And I studied English there.
So, like an author, or like a...
Nice. I do like writing.
That's quite interesting. So do you do that like in your free time?
I'm actually writing a book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's it about? You don't have to say too much if you don't want to spoil it. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's not too amazing.
No, go on. Don't be embarrassed. Go on.
The title's a work in process, but basically the idea is it's basically following this guy as he deals with these like different mental health struggles and stuff like that.
Nice.
Sort of, taking a lot from talking to people that I know, especially around sort of the sporting world, and mates that I've got outside of it, and just sort of getting a different perspective on things. And it's basically all just pushed on this one bloke.
Right, okay.
Trying to like explore sort of the ideas of it, and from a more individual experience, and sort of just writing, this guy's a bit sad right now.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I know I forgot what his name, but he was a Dragons player. I think he was doing like an archaeological thing, like study or something in uni, because he's really interested in it as well. So it's good that you're still sticking to that. You mentioned it was like about mental health and stuff. Is it based on stuff around your mental health or people that you know of? Like,
I think it's a bit of both. I think obviously I went to Ulster, came back, and that a lot of the reason I moved back was based around the issues of being a bit homesick, not being too happy with where I was, personally. And then also from talking to a lot of other boys about how they feel about it, like being quite open with your friends and stuff, you realise that they're also going through sort of bad situations as well. And I think for me it was a bit of an eye-opener. I then got injured sort of the start of this year. Yeah. And I thought this is a good way to sort of start, I guess, processing how I'm feeling, how I felt in the past, and hopefully get other people to start talking about how they feel as well.
Right, okay. I've asked this as well to a lot of guests, like, how do you motivate yourself as a young person? Because I saw an interview you did, you said that, the hardest part is when one day, 5 a.m, and you think, I'm in bed and I'm thinking,
I don't want to get up.
I don't really want
That's
to get
me
up.
daily. That was me this morning.
so how do you get yourself up then? Like, how do you motivate yourself?
Do you know, I always think when I have the really hard days where it's like, kind of like, I think every sports person, maybe it's just me, but I think that if anyone says that they haven't got to a point in their career, if they've been doing it such a long time, they think, do I want to do it anymore? Like, is it worth it? And like, I think we've all been at that point, like being athletes, that it's like, can I keep doing this? Can I keep pushing myself to do this? And there's been a few times where I've been like that. I know like James has been like that, and I know like many other athletes have been like that. And I just think like I've come this far. Like if I told that little like 6-year-old or 10-year-old when I first watched the Olympics when in like 2012, and I was like, that's what I want to do. If I look back on that little girl now and think she got that far just to give up, like. Should be heartbroken. And I think stuff like that, and also the feeling you get when you do achieve,
when you do win,
that like getting that hand raised is literally the best feeling ever. And like it's every single part of the training, the dieting, the getting up at silly hours, the not getting much sleep, the energy, like everything makes it worth it for that like one moment.
I'm just wondering, like, how do you, in the cage, outside the cage, like, how do you respond to adversity as a like young athlete, and how do you get over it, basically?
I don't think there's any like real secret to it or nothing like that. I've always had heart. That's been ingrained in me from a young age. I was born with it, and I'd trained so hard for so long. It's just, I'm never going to quit in that way. Like your brain is, I've been in tough situations and fights and stuff like that. Like your brain's wanting to stop, your body's wanting to give up, but there's just like, there's just something there that won't let you, and just there's something that I call it my spirit. Just keeps me going, because you don't know why you keep going. You thought you'd gave up ages ago, but there's not one moment in time where you actually have. You're never like, it's never a conscious decision. Do you know what I mean? I'm never like, it never ever cross it in my mind, I could lay over right now. I could just roll over and lose. Like I'm too competitive for that. I've done this. I've trained so hard. Like it means too much to me for like some wee guy that's not made for this just to come and try and take it off me. Do you know what I mean? It's just not me. I couldn't.
Obviously, I know how the NBA draft and that stuff works, but I didn't actually know how the British basketball recruitment stuff works, which is terrible. I know I should know that. So they can externally recruit you like a scout, I guess, but you can also apply to join. So how did you join the Surrey Scorchers? Did you apply to join? Did you like send off a CV, resume, or whatever, or did someone pick you up?
Well, it's interesting because when I came back from my year abroad in February 2022, I came back to the UK, and obviously, as I said, I hadn't played basketball before, so I didn't really have anywhere to go back to or anything like that. I was just and I was just looking like, okay, I still want to, I've done well in Portugal and I want to keep up this basketball until the season ends. So I was just looking for teams around my area. As I said, I'm in Southeast London. So I was looking, okay, what's the best teams around? And Surrey Scorchers is one of the 2 BBL teams in this sort of region, the other one being London Lions. So I reached out to the coach at the time, and he said, yeah, I can come down and train, because I just sent him like my stats and stuff from Portugal, which were impressive. So they let me come and train. And then, even though obviously I'd only been playing basketball for like 4 months and I was training with professionals, and there was a lot that I had to learn, they saw my potential sort of, so they let me train with the team for the rest of the season. So that was about a few months of training I had with them, which was great. Obviously, I then had to go back to uni to complete my final year. So the coaches essentially got in touch with, or they basically they recommended me to see of Birmingham, which is, as you know, where I ended up going. And then once the season was over and we'd done well and I'd performed well throughout the season, Surrey basically reached out to me to start coming during the summer and training with them and things like that. And it basically progressed from there. So it wasn't really a typical, just randomly getting a call or a message or anything like that. It was like that relationship was already there from the season before. And then it gradually, when I now came back to London after uni, it just was the next step that made the most sense, like for both sides.
What is it about you that sets you apart from other fighters? Like, why do you think you'll be more successful than others?
That's a tough question. I hate to say it, but like there's an ego to fighting to some extent.
You have to have an ego.
You have to have an ego to fight.
do.
I say it to like so many people, and I'm like, you don't have to be a dickhead with an ego, but like you can.
But nice guys finish last.
Yeah, 100%. Like you need to know you're the best in the room, best in the gym, best in the fight. Like if you go into a fight half-ass, you won't win the fight. Like you could be better than them technically, you could be stronger, but if in your head you think you're gonna lose, I just have that mindset that you will lose, and I don't like losing. I feel like I go in the gym, I tick off what sessions that I want to do, and I want to be the best. Like I know in my mind, like I want to be the first 3-time like 3-weight like UFC champ. Like I want to set like big goals that like nobody's ever done, and like I don't think I'll be like satisfied until like I've ticked everything off, and then I can actually sit down, relax, and be like, well, I've done everything that I want to do in my life, and now I can start like progressing to different avenues and like coaching or like whatever life takes me. But like in my head, I think I know what I want to do, and like if I don't do it, I don't think I'll be happy when the time comes. So we'll see how it goes.
Obviously, your nickname is the Nightmare. I know this is really difficult for you to talk about, as it would be for anyone.
Yeah.
But obviously, what happened to your friend and former MMA fighter, Jaro Shepherd. I talked to a boxer called Owen Cooper earlier in the year. He had a friend very similar, and he died in like a car crash. And he was saying like how that's like his main motivator. Obviously, he motivates himself because he wants to do amazing in boxing, but that's like a really big motivator for him in the sport. And I'm guessing because also your nickname is the Nightmare. Is that the same thing for you? Like he's like what you think about when you go into a fight or at the end of the fight or whatever?
Yeah, literally, I literally think about him like 24/7. First thing when I wake up, I have his picture like on my bedside table. So I literally think of him first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And it's just extra motivation, really. Every day, daily life. Yeah, just literally just give me that extra push. So just big up Jaro Shepherd.
Yeah, big up Jaro Shepherd. He was an absolute killer as well. He was so good.
If you don't mind me going into it, you mentioned that you recently got diagnosed with ADHD. So like, how did you like come by that? Like what made you want to get tested for it? Or
I think just, if I'm honest, I first started seeing things on TikTok. I think as a lot of people do nowadays. Yes. And I was like, bloody hell, I've got quite a lot of these, and it was things like, I think what really turned my attention in particular was I can't go to sleep without a fan on or something, just some noise. And my girlfriend's in, and she'll tell you it drives her mad. That sort of started my thoughts with it really. And I was always the most energetic kid growing up, and parents would be like, bloody hell, like he's got a lot of energy, this lad, and just like various things made me think, right. And then I went to get assessed for something else. I had 2 assessments that day, and I was like, can you just assess me for this? And yeah, that's where I got that diagnosis from.
And you're not too you weren't too bothered about it. You're just like, I've just got this.
It just explained a lot of things for me, really. Like I think I used to get in so much trouble for being late to my track camps and stuff like that. But I was able to explain. It just explains why, really. I just have an inability to keep track of time. Like, I was late to this.
Yeah.
I think I have more time than I do, and stuff like it just explained a lot for me, really, and it's just going to help me moving forward, really. And being able to let people know, that this is what you might have to work around it somewhat, and same for me. It's just good to know.
And from your cycling teams, have they ever since that, have they given you like extra support in any way as well because of it?
No, it's not, because I dealt with it for 18 years, so there's no reason for me
I guess you're just used to it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to make a big deal of it, but I just goes to show, like, I think a lot of sports people do, and they just don't realise, like, and yeah, I don't think it's certainly not something to be ashamed of at all, or I think if anything, it can help you in so many ways, to raise awareness for other people as well.